Hi guys, I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to make it into class today, but for my portion of this presentation, I will be talking about, does our vision of social justice prefer damning stories to undamning facts? And this is from the book of Williams. So, how often do you conduct full research on a topic before forming your opinion? Kind of take a moment to self-reflect and think about how often you do this. So, more often than not, people will base their opinions on just a headline. So, think about people who always have so much to say but aren't really saying anything at all. They have just basically formed their opinion off of something that they read either on Google or on social media. And instead of going into further exploration on the topic, they just say, this is what I've read, this is what I know, when in reality, all they read was the headline that was created for that topic. They don't really know all the meat that goes into what that headline could potentially have been talking about. And then how do you think that this can affect our view of the world or a person's view of the world? Well, we'll get into that. So, there are two types of systemic injustice. There's the biblical basis definition, which talks about how systemic injustice is any system that requires or encourages us to defy the creator by breaking his good commandments. Think of this as breaking the commandment of thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not worship any other gods. You can think back into biblical times where a lot of leaders would kill anyone who chose to worship a god other than themselves. That's kind of what this definition is talking about. And then there's the social injustice B definition from the book that says the way you spot injustice is by looking for unequal outcomes. And an unequal outcome becomes damning evidence that sexism, racism, or some other evil ism is at the foundation of a system. So some examples of the social justice B definition are as followed. In California's Silicon Valley, women make up a mere 15.67% of tech jobs at tech giants Apple, Google, Twitter, Facebook, etc. On the New Jersey Turnpike, Black drivers receive nearly twice as many speeding tickets as white drivers do. Mortgage lenders rejected twice as many Blacks as whites for home loans, 44.6% compared with 22.3%, according to data from the 2000 US Commission on Civil Rights report. So these are typical, I guess you could call headlines that we would see on the internet. And how do these facts or headlines make you feel? Take a moment to kind of self-reflect and think about that. So, steps for a socially just world. These steps come from the book, and I think they're more so thought-provoking than they are actual steps to work for a socially just world, but they are as followed. Step 1, spot an unequal outcome. Step 2, interpret that unequal outcome as damning evidence of a racist or sexist system. Step 3, overthrow that system. And then the Christian's fourth step is identify overthrowing that system as a gospel issue and indict fellow believers for white supremacy or patriarchal oppression if they do not join the fight. So a way that we can put that into action when addressing the headlines, such as more Black drivers receive speeding tickets than white drivers, that's step 1, we're addressing the issue. Most people are okay with interpreting that outcome as evidence of a racist system, should be step 2. Then that leads us to step 3, which brings forth a crusade against law enforcement. And then step 4, where Christian communities' failure to address the systematic injustice serves as evidence of white supremacy in the church. So you're going through each step saying, I'm acknowledging the issue, which is more Black drivers receive speeding tickets than white drivers. You are developing a thought to overcome this, and you are bringing others along and coming up with a way and a method to take over that, which would be the crusade against law enforcement. And then you are faulting those who do not agree or join and share the same beliefs to create this crusade against law enforcement. You're then implying and saying that they are white supremacists in the sense that they do not care about the fact that more Black drivers are receiving speeding tickets than white drivers. Now, an issue with this is as followed. So after that fact had been released, I believe that was in 2000 or around the early 2000s, there became a research and a survey done based off of that information, because obviously it got a lot of people riled up and everyone was claiming these statements and saying that the New Jersey state troopers are racist and all of these things. So that led to this research led by the Public Service Research Institute called the Speed Violation Survey of the New Jersey Turnpike Final Report. So out of 38,747 drivers that went through the speed radar, in the section of the turnpike where the speed limit was 65 miles per hour, 2.7% of the speeders were Black drivers and 1.4% were white drivers. This means that Black drivers made up 25% of the speeders. You may be thinking, okay, that's still going along with our headline. It still makes sense. It's still adding up. But in reality, when you do further research and not just settle with what that says, you can learn that the demographics show that the Black population in this part of New Jersey is younger than the white population. And it's common knowledge that young people tend to drive faster than old people. So in reality, this was not an issue of race, but rather an issue of age. But if you were to simply just go with what was being told to you at the beginning, that would instantly fill you with this anger and this fear, or any of these other strong emotions that it may have allowed you to feel, when in reality, it's not that at all. It's really an issue of age. And it's just the fact that young people are going to drive faster than older people. And that's not an issue of race at all, or what they even led you to believe it was. So shouting systemic injustice at every unequal outcome, it's too easy. The sinful isms inflict hurt on some people groups that other people groups will never have to cope with. So me, being a white woman, I will never feel the hurt that a Black woman would feel by that statement, or a Black man. But being a woman, I do feel the hurt that comes from women inequalities. So it's important to do the knowledge checks and to dive into the information and learn more about what the headline is really saying, or if it's just something that's being used to get people riled up. So when we automatically assume damning explanations for unequal outcomes, we not only lock ourselves in a prison of never-ending rage and all those super strong emotions, but it also dulls our senses to the point that will be useless for the sacred task of recognizing and resisting the real racism, sexism, and other vicious isms around us. And that is the end of my portion. I'll hand it back to the rest of my group members to continue our presentation. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening.